You're on the Liberty Road with Mark Angelides and Tim Donner. With any great tragedy comes an inflection point, a moment when those who remain must decide not only how they intend to move forward, but also with what higher truths and priorities they will steel themselves with for the future. The death of Charlie Kirk appears just such a moment. Will America become more divided or rally together to exemplify the message that to which Charlie Kirk devoted his life? Tim.
Well, I think that this is really, in the end, it all comes down to the issue of free speech and the ability or inability or unwillingness of the left to engage in a battle of ideas. When they can't win the war of ideas, they turn to murder. Ryan Ruth tried it. Thomas Crooks tried it. And now the one who succeeded in silencing the nation's foremost advocate for free speech and civil discourse. So if you think about it, the person who has been advocating tirelessly for civil discourse, especially to the nation's young people for these many years, has been taken down because the free speech that he was trying to engender was too much for people on the left to handle. Now, I'm not going to say that the entire left is to be held at fault, but, we hear the expressions of sorrow from the left. It's sort of the compulsory expressions of sorrow and outrage. But I feel like the one thing the left has been willing to do these days is to actually tell the unvarnished truth about how they really feel. And I think J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, was perhaps most emblematic of the way that we suspect that they truly feel about all this. He said, I think the president's rhetoric often foments this type of violence. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly have tripped a new era of political violence. And the president, what did he do? He pardoned them. So immediately we get to see deep into the heart of the left what they really think about this. And what have we become as a country? And I think Charlie Kirk himself put it into the best context in an ex-post that he wrote just a few months before his demise. Let me read it to you word for word because it says it all. From Charlie Kirk. Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione, the infamous killer of the healthcare CEO, in cold blood on a Manhattan street. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. Those are the words of Charlie Kirk himself. And I don't think it could have been stated any more correctly than that. I mean, we saw in the House, again, where people, Democrats, leftists were reacting in real time. And when a prayer was offered in the House of Representatives following the death of Charlie Kirk, it was actually before he died. They were praying for him to be able to hold on to his life. And the reaction of Democrats was to jeer and to boo the resolution to pray for Charlie Kirk. I think that speaks volumes.
It's there's quite a cross-Atlantic connection with this, Tim, because as I wrote about in a piece in libertynation.com, there's an international response to the death of Charlie Kirk. And when I say international, it's everywhere. It's Giorgia Meloni in Italy, Boris Johnson, Keir Starmer, Nigel Farage in the UK, the Viktor Orban in Hungary, Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, and the European Parliament. It was proposed that a moment of silence to honor Charlie Kirk was given, and quite naturally, you'd expect the more left-leaning of the parliamentarians there shouted down such a proposal, and uh, it Charlie Kirk had an international impact that I think maybe many of our American listeners don't understand really how far his message of discourse over violence spread. Tim.
Well, it was shocking to me the how how far the tentacles of Charlie Kirk spread across the whole world. I knew the influence that he had, the credit that he's been given, that he was given for getting the young vote out for Donald Trump. And some people are saying, and I think with good reason, that it was pivotal, even that Trump could not have won the election without the influence of Charlie Kirk on young voters who showed up for Trump in shockingly high numbers. So this is an inflection point.
Yeah.
It's a turning point for the country. The question is, where do we turn? What we're going to turn from what to what? And I think those who think that those on the left will cease and desist now that it's pretty obvious that someone on their side has committed an unspeakable murder in cold blood. Where do we turn? Do we turn towards conciliation like after 9/11? I'd like to think we could, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it's as you say, it really is a turning point. And that's I guess that's one of the reasons Charlie Kirk named his organization that. Tim, I'd like to offer you a couple of quotes, if I may, to close this out. The first one, I'm not sure where it's from, but it was promoted by Matthew Goodwin over on X, and it was something to the tune of, they thought they would bury a body, what they buried was a seed. And I think that's quite poignant. And the other one is from author George R. R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame, and he said, he wrote, "When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say." And I think that's a good note to leave it on. Tim Donner, thanks for being on the Liberty Road.
Thank you, Mark.